struggle for liberation, racial equality, and democracy. For this, we remain eternally grateful to the people of Kenya. Solidarity, mutual respect, and a common vision of a better Africa and a better world form the foundation of our relations today and into the future. This state visit takes place after the successful inauguration of Kenya South Africa Joint Commission for Cooperation, which took place on the 11th of August 2021 in Nairobi, in Kenya. The Joint Commission for Cooperation provided an opportunity to take stock of our current bilateral relations whilst laying the foundation for more regular exchanges and meetings between our government officials. While relations between South Africa and Kenya are warm and constructive, I believe it is time to elevate our ties to that of a strategic partnership. This would signify the importance of our political, economic, and social ties and the leadership role we play in our respective regions. You in East Africa and us in Southern Africa. We need to consolidate those areas of cooperation that anchor our relations, explore new ones within the current state of global affairs, and address challenges that will affect our people in the future. A good starting point are the economic ties between our two countries. Over the past 5 years, bilateral trade has been constant, while investment has mainly been characterized by South African companies investing in Kenya. Much can be done and ought to be done. I'm therefore most pleased that His Excellency has brought along a Kenyan business delegation that is currently participating in the business forum together with South African counterparts from the business community. As vocal advocates of Pan-Africanism and intra-African trade, South Africa and Kenya ought to set the example by increasing the volume and composition of our trade and investing more in each other's economies. We are committed to taking practical measures and steps to address the imbalance in bilateral trade between our two countries, ensuring that South Africa becomes a ready destination for goods and services from Kenya. I'm particularly pleased on this that in our tete-a-tete discussions, both President Kenyatta and myself are in full support of taking measures to achieve this objective. And we were able to even cite very interesting and dramatic examples in this regard, which we will discuss later. I would like to request our respective ministers to remove any unreasonable barriers or challenges that are stifling these efforts. And I'd like to cite one even now. President Kenyatta tells me that Kenya has been able to demonstrate great ability in growing flowers, which are exported to many countries in the world. And he said to me that some of the flowers grown in Kenya, as they are harvested and packaged, they are packaged with the names of South African shops, retail shops, and prices are set out and the tags in rands. And those flowers are then carted off to the airport, put on a plane that goes to Holland. They get to Amsterdam. A Dutch handler ends handling fees and reroutes those flowers to South Africa to go to Woolworths and Checkers and all that. Now that to me is the most dramatic missed opportunity of intra-Africa trade. Because why should an African country produce certain goods that are destined for markets in another African country but are rerouted to an African country through a European country? So this is what President Kenyatta and I have discussed and have said that we would like our ministers to remove any unreasonable barriers or challenges that are stifling efforts for us to trade between our two countries. And we want to increase trade between South Africa and Kenya on goods that South African market needs, and also vice versa. As part of our contribution to intra-Africa trade, we should give preference to our own state-owned enterprises and private businesses when bidding for significant procurement contracts in each other's countries, instead of sourcing these from outside our continent. Each of our countries has the indigenous knowledge and expertise to benefit the other. These efforts to strengthen economic ties are not possible without the facilitation of movement of people between our two countries. In this regard, we are most pleased to witness the signing today of the Memorandum of Understanding on Migration Matters and the agreement on the return of nationals refused entry and illegal entrance. The strong foundation of our bilateral relations has ensured excellent cooperation and coordination of our positions on multilateral issues. South Africa and Kenya both seek to strengthen multilateral approaches to improve global peace and security. Please be assured of our continued support during Kenya's tenure as a non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council for 2021 and 2022. I congratulate Kenya for its successful chairing of the Security Council in October, when it strongly voiced the concerns of our continent and emphasized the need for a rules-based multilateral approach to global challenges. As a recipient of international solidarity in the struggle for liberation, we stand together with the rest of the international community in support of the people of Palestine and Western Sahara in their struggle for self-determination and nationhood. We note the recent Security Council resolution to extend the mandate of the United Nations mission for the referendum in Western Sahara until the 31st of October 2022. South Africa agrees with Kenya that it is important for the Security Council to support the work of the UN mission and the reconvening of negotiations by the Secretary General of the United Nations Personal Envoy. Like Kenya, we remain concerned at the delay in holding the long-awaited referendum, which is necessary for the realization of the right to self-determination for the people of Western Sahara. We are also concerned at the inadequate protection of human rights of the Sahrawi people. We commend Kenya for having undertaken to promote the Women, Peace and Security agenda during its tenure on the UN Security Council. It is a concern that while most the African continent enjoys peace, democracy, and stability, there are still pockets of insecurity and conflict within countries and between neighboring countries. The reality is that much more still needs to be done to silence the guns on our continent. In particular, we note with concern the recent conflict and resultant suffering in our sister countries in Ethiopia, Sudan, and Mozambique. South Africa remains committed to regional peace and security as well as stability. We call on all relevant role players to work together towards finding sustainable solutions to these conflicts. To this end, we will work closely with Kenya on all platforms to promote peace and security on our beloved African continent. We fully support and align ourselves with the SADC position to support and assist Mozambique as directed by the 40th SADC Summit. We strongly condemn any attempt at an unconstitutional change of government in the Sudan and call on all parties to engage in constructive, good faith, and peaceful dialogue to restore the Sudan's constitutional order. Mr. President, we are most alarmed by the unfolding situation in Ethiopia and the consequences it may have for the stability of Ethiopia and the region in the eastern part of our continent. There is an urgent need for all parties to the conflict to commit to an immediate, indefinite, negotiated ceasefire and an inclusive political dialogue to begin the difficult work of forging a lasting resolution to the country's ethnic and political divisions. The need for lasting peace and security on our continent becomes more urgent with the operationalization of the historic African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement on the 1st of January of this year. I wish to congratulate Kenya for being among the countries that have ratified the AfCFTA, which aims to accelerate intra-Africa trade and industrialization, and which offers great opportunity for Africa's economic integration and development. We meet at a time of great distress and devastation caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. Although there's been great progress in the development and distribution of vaccines, as well as acts of solidarity and cooperation across the world, the global response to the pandemic has been uneven. It is a grave concern that the global community has not sustained the principles of solidarity and cooperation in securing equitable access to COVID-19 vaccines. While we welcome some of the recent developments in making vaccines more accessible, the strategic goal for both of our countries and others on the continent should be to acquire and manufacture vaccines on our own African continent. South Africa and Kenya have proven capacity and expertise in this regard. We are two of some of the countries on our African continent who should and will be able to manufacture our own vaccines, which would make available for the rest of the continent as well. I'm pleased to see that Your Excellency President Kenyatta, that in your visit to South Africa, you have included a visit to Aspen Pharmacare in Gqeberha, in the southern part of our country, which will provide you with first-hand experience of our capacity to produce vaccines and highlight areas of possible cooperation with your government. Our Minister of Health, Dr. Patha, and other colleagues will accompany you on this trip so that we can showcase to you what both our two countries should be able to accede to in the manufacturing of vaccines. Your Excellency, in conclusion, I thank you once again for your presence here today. As is customary amongst close friends, I trust that we will have frank and fruitful discussions on the current state of our bilateral relations. And as I said, I'm particularly pleased that our relations are warm, they're cordial, they're straightforward, and this visit that you've paid to our country at state level will be able to consolidate that, and we are truly overjoyed with your visit to South Africa. I thank you, President.